You know, one incident in this election campaign sums up a rottenness in our culture, a danger. 3 weeks ago, Labor leader Bill Shorten was invited into the Gladstone port, owned by the Queensland Labor government, to shoot nice footage for the news that night of him talking to the workers. But one worker there, a subcontractor who now wants to be anonymous, asked Shorten a perfectly innocent question.
The highway thing come over, it's given a tax break. A lot of the guys here do overtime. They earn $250,000 a year because they work nights.
Well, we're going to look at that.
That answer was embarrassing for Shorten because it was deceptive at best. No, Labor is not looking at cutting taxes on workers like that, on $250,000. It will instead increase taxes by 2%. Why didn't Shorten say so, we asked at the time. And Shorten was, of course, accused of, again, telling voters what they wanted to hear, not what he'll actually do. Now, that worker, he was suspended for talking to the media, handed his belongings, and he hasn't been given a day's work since. Now, I should add that Gladstone Ports is not just owned by a Labor government, but run by Peter O'Sullivan, a former Labor candidate. But Gladstone Ports says, wait, it wasn't us who made this call. And I'll cross soon to the journalist who's been covering this for the real story. But Bill Shorten today distanced himself from the punishment of this worker.
I understand the company's put out a statement today, and I can add no more to that. But to the more principal part of your question, you know, I've been around work sites for 30 years. As a politician, I've been visiting work sites for the last dozen. People are allowed to express their opinions, and they should be able to do so without fear or favour, full stop.
Now, I would love to believe a Labor commitment to free speech, except, of course, I've seen too much from the left more generally to bring that one to the bank. The incredible attacks on free speech, I mean, whether you are a worker or a blogger at home or a journalist, presenter here. I've told you already about the threats that Greens leader Richard Di Natale is making against journalists like me for warning about, well, in my case, importing Islamist violence.
We're going to make sure that we've got laws that regulate our media so that if people like Andrew Bolt and Alan Jones and Chris Kenny, and I could go on and on and on, if they want to use hate speech to divide the community, then they're going to be held to account for that hate speech.
I've also shown that even after one Green supporter threw an egg at the Prime Minister, the Victorian Greens Women's Network still has up a tweet urging supporters to egg him and attack other Liberals as well, and me. There's an egg there with my name on it as well. But now comes something more worrying, a frightening insight into just how totalitarian the left has become. Green businessman Oliver Yates is one of those global warming independents backed by the media. He actually thanked the ABC today for its coverage of him. He is now running against Treasurer Josh Frydenberg in the seat of Kooyong. He has the backing of Malcolm Turnbull's son Alex as well. And he is so angry that Murdoch newspapers like the Herald Sun, the Daily Telegraph, Courier Mail, the Australian, so angry that they have journalists like me who argue against the global warming scare, that he has a solution: ban them. In fact, last week he tweeted, "If elected, I would seek to have the Murdoch Press's licence to operate in Australia removed if they continue to threaten our democracy and our safety." Our safety because he thinks global warming is going to kill us all. Now, I find it astonishing, to say the least, that a serious candidate for public office would publicly threaten to ban 1/3 of the newspapers in this country, have their licence removed because he doesn't like them, he disagrees with their arguments. What is going on in Australia? Well, what is going on is an incredible intolerance of debate. We already have a social media campaign, which we've discussed here, to bully advertisers into pulling their ads from Sky, drive us off the air. We have rugby superstar Israel Folau told he'll be sacked merely for quoting the Bible's teaching against gays. We have former Prime Minister Tony Abbott headbutted in the street by a same-sex marriage supporter. We have supporters of conservative and libertarian speakers attacked in the streets. We've even had a great cartoonist, Bill Leak, persecuted by the Human Rights Commission for drawing a cartoon about the high levels of child neglect and abuse in Aboriginal communities. In fact, Bill Leak's family believes still that the stress caused by that persecution led to Bill Leak's fatal heart attack. And I've had a federal court ban 2 of my columns in which I argued, unlawfully it seems, that's scary, unlawfully, that people with both Aboriginal and European backgrounds actually have choices in how they identify. They could identify as Aboriginal, of course, I said, or as European, or as both, as Jacinta Price does, or as none. No race, race irrelevant. Well, bang, my columns banned. And now we have a global warming independent, promoted by the ABC, actually calling for 1/3 of our newspapers to be banned as well. Now, of course, it's not just the left that's intolerant. Labor's candidate in the Queensland seat of Dawson says someone tried to burn her car by putting a burning rag into the fuel tank. Disgusting. Disgusting. Now, there are bullies and mini totalitarians everywhere. The difference is that it is on one side of politics today where these mini totalitarians run for politics, where they run political parties, and where they have the actual lawful power to shut you up. Ask that worker in Gladstone what side of politics I'm talking about.